most everybody, our Blackland Prairie looks a lot like a vacant lot, and people driving by, I fear they see a falling down cedar fence and a vacant lot. But of course, for a lot of us, it's a lot more. And I've given you two slides of flowers because we like flowers, and we don't have a spectacular display the way they do at Candy Hills, but spring, summer, and fall, we can have wildflowers, and we can have like 3 kinds of milkweed. So there we are. I've done the mandatory flowers. And what fascinates me is this slide. There's Tarrant County in orange. That little dab of green is our Blackland Prairie. And I was thinking about this how much we have or how much is left. 1% of our original 19,400 square miles are still with us. Well, I tried to think what that was. Arlington is about 100 square miles, so that's about 2 Arlingtons out of the original 194 Arlingtons. We have 2. There. That's my attempt at making it reasonably. There it is. This is where it is down in the lower right, where the little orange dot is just south of I-20 near 360. And this is the basic soil setup from left to right. All that blob of green is limestone, and the yellow in the middle is sandstone. That's where we have post oaks. And then keep going to the right, we have more limestone, and that's where we have our Blackland Prairie. And the simplified map on the right is basically the same sort of thing. And on the right, I believe our Blackland Prairie is right around the A in Blackland, the first A in Blackland. We got this thing in 1998. And about 3 years later, here's an aerial photograph showing the basic setup, 13 acres, they say. And that dotted line, in my opinion, is the remnants of a now invisible fence line. To the right, it is believed that the area was cultivated, and it is dominated, well, first by the absence of its most interesting natural feature, linear gilgi. You might be forgiven for thinking these are stream beds, but they are in fact an indication that this left-hand portion has never been plowed. The vegetation is fundamentally different. On the right, King Ranch bluestem dominates, along with eastern red cedar. And by the way, look at the shocking change in terms of prairie invasives from 2001 to 2021. On the right, that's a mix of down low hackberries and elms, and lots of big eastern red cedar. And on the left, you can still see those linear gilgi. On the left is what one master plan author refers to as a wildflower dominated area. And on the right, an area in the author's opinion worthy of complete renovation. That is taking everything out and starting over. Here's a quick 4-season view. This is from the fence line looking. Okay, mostly west. Likewise, spring, summer, you can't walk, and fall. 1 minute. What's the future? We don't really know. Parks Department seems to be committed to keeping it in good shape, not making it into athletic fields, some sort of development possible. If you're interested in our only master plan, by the way, this is our maintenance procedure right here. Annual mowing, we hope, at the right time. And what we have here is massive sucker growth. Here's the master plan. The simplest way is just Google Blackland Prairie Park, City of Arlington, and you will see the master plan. My main concern is it is totally, totally isolated in terms of gene flow. We don't have any. And I don't know what the effect will be ultimately, but it is completely locked in by every possible kind of thing.
Time's up.
Look at that.
Perfect.
I'm done.
Perfect.
I don't have any slides because this is strictly a work in progress. The Julia Burgen Park is in two sections on either side of 7th Street, just north of Park Row. And on the west side, the neighbors decided that with the, of course, the consent of the Parks Department, that we could have a natural area. And so this we've been trying to establish a pollinator, not just monarch, pollinator patch within the Julia Burgen Park on the west side. I should say the east side of the park is a lot of traffic, people exercising and children and playground equipment, and it's just not suitable for a natural area. But on the west side, we had lots of room to play with. The side we chose for the pollinator patch is backs up to a branch of Johnson Creek as it makes the turn to go under the Center Mesquite Bridge. That's part of the Julia Burgen Park. And we received this grant. We've been working on it, trying to select the site and get the plan going. The issue was lack of water. It's park policy when they acquire the site, they remove all the water lines, all the utility lines, really. I'm not sure what the thinking is behind that, but they've been doing this for decades. And that was no exception. So first we had to make sure that when we installed the garden, there would be water sources to keep the seeds going and germinating. So that did not happen until December. Early December, we finally got the water lines installed. So by then we had a mini work day where we covered the site with cardboard, and then we dumped mulch on top of that. But that was back in June. And in the meantime, the Bermuda grass kept growing through the cardboard and everything. So we need to do it again. And this is just to say, we're way behind. We were supposed to have everything done in October and a report to the grantor, which is bring the Monarch Watch through the Native Plant Society. Anyway, it didn't happen, but it will be happening because now we have water. We can proceed with re-solarizing the site, re-killing the Bermuda, and removing the woodies, which keep coming up. There's a lot of red oaks and a mimosa tree that just won't die. And once we do that, we will be ready to, we've gotten the plants and we've gotten the seed, and we just need a lot of volunteers to offer their services, their labor. And we hope to have everything done sometime in early spring. As soon as it gets a little warmer, we'll start prepping the site again, and then about 6 weeks after, and watering it well now that we can. And then 6 weeks after that, we can start actually installing the pollinator garden. So that's where we are. Any questions?
Thank you.
We'll need a lot of expertise. Josephine, don't go away.
This is for the Wildscape. And early on this year, we started rescuing plants with John Snowden in different areas near his former nursery. And so he helped us pick out quite a bit of grass that we then planted in the mainly in the pocket prairie and under the Twin Oaks, which is that area right next to the parking lot, because those trees were badly disturbed. We started trying to fix that area last year, and it's doing a lot better now. We also had our annual privet pool, and they tore down, and I didn't have a picture of it. They tore down the big greenhouse, which we'll talk about that later. And that kind of impacted how our plant sale, and poor Josephine and Frank took most of our plants to their house so they could watch over them until the sale. We also continued with our mini classes and had quite a few really good ones with good attendance, including Mike Smith and Hester and Dana, all these good ones. And this is a master naturalist down here on the lower right showing us about how to make an insect hotel. We're also continuing to fight erosion problems. You can see here how it's devastated the outer areas of the wildscape, which then inflict erosion in the middle of the wildscape. And this is the water down here at the bottom going right through in the creek in the middle of the wildscape. And that picture is just hardly does it justice how much water goes through that area and affects the erosion on the sides of the creek. We also restarted our Walk on the Wild side. So we had our first one since before COVID, and it was a big success. We got some new people in to help do the presentations. So we had a really good one, and we're hoping to have more this coming year. And we'll be having some small ones this summer with Arlington. What's the name of that school? The Montessori Academy. And then we've enjoyed some good times just learning. As we were working, we discovered a few things this year, including this neat little mushroom, which I hadn't seen before at the Wildscape. And people, as we're working, they learn about all this stuff. So y'all need to come out on work days and enjoy the other people around you working and learn about new stuff that you may not have seen before. Okay. We had this eyesore that we called Stage for a long time. And it was just the platform just sticking out there with no sense on why it was there. That was put in a couple of years ago by one Eagle Scout. And then so another Eagle Scout came in and made it into a bridge. It's supposed to cross over this area because it's a seasonal wetland. And it's better than it was before, but it still could be tweaked. And we're hoping that they can help with that.
1 minute.
Okay. And I think that's the last of I kind of quickly put this together. There's a lot more I wanted to put in, but I didn't have time. Some things came up today that threw me off. But mainly a lot of what we're working on is erosion, mainly erosion on the outskirts of the wildscape because it affects the middle of the wildscape. And part of that is along the fairway on the west side. And John Snowden and I and a few other people like Carol and Mary Lee have gone out to Burleson site that is going to be under construction. It is under construction, and we've been rescuing plants with permission and bringing those to the Wildscape, and hopefully it'll help a lot. So we're going to be continuing working on the Wildscapes, erosion areas, and that's the big major thing push this year. And that's it.
Thank you, Anne. That sounded great.
My name's Kevin Donovan. I'm with the Friends of O.S. Gray Natural Area. O.S. Gray is located at 2021 West Abram Street in Arlington between Bowen and Fielder. Next. This is one of our signs that we had put in. We got a grant from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to do some native vegetation restoration and to put in some interpretive signs. And this talks a little bit about the Friends of O.S. Gray and what we're up to at the park. And so if you happen to be out there, you can go to the far west end of the park by Rosser's Meadow and read all about it. Next. This is another one that's in Rosser's Meadow, and you'll see another view of it here in a minute, which kind of tells about a little bit about what you might see if you're out there in the meadow. This also came about as a result of our grant from U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. Next. So some of what we did in 2023 actually began in 2022. This is a shot of Rosser's Meadow. In November 2022, we had a group out to do a seed stomp. And you can see to the right of the picture, there's a Rosser's Meadow sign. A seed stomp is where we get the volunteers out and cast seed, which we got from Native American seed, and then we stomp it. And then go to the next slide, please. Here they are, a little bit of close-up. Next. There's a picture of our sign and looking out over Rosser's Meadow from the north looking south. This is probably early spring of 2023. Next. And this is the result of our seed stomp in probably May 2023. Next. And another view of the meadow. Also, we think it says came about as our efforts to revegetate the meadow with native grasses and wildflowers. Next. More wildflowers in Rosser's Meadow. Next. We also pulled a lot of privet in 2023. There's some of our fearless volunteers battling privet. Next. Another volunteer battling privet. Next. And here's a pile of privet that we leave out to as a warning to any other privet who may be thinking about growing around there. This is what will happen to you if you grow in our park.
How effective is that?
Not very effective. Next. This is our pollinator garden that's by the parking lot at O.S. Gray. It's been tended to by Josephine and Jane with help from Jim Domke and other volunteers. This is probably June or July. It looked really good all year this year. Next. Another view of the pollinator garden. Next. This is Rosser's Woodland, which is a post oak forest, we call it, in the north side of the park, northwest side, after it was mowed by the Parks Department to control privet. And Marian, can you ask me that question again? No, I'm kidding. How effective is that? Not very, but it does beat it back for a little bit. Next. There you go. That's my beautiful wife hiding behind our blue stem patch. We have a patch of blue stem in the Rosser's Woodland. We have aerial photographs that go back to the 1940s that show that may have been in place. So it's a really unique feature of the park. We're really proud and try to keep it privet free so it can thrive. Next. We have some volunteers out to help us paint benches that we have installed throughout the park. Next. We have trails rebuilding where we remulch soft surface trails throughout the park with the help from volunteers. We did a lot of that in 23. Next. More mulch that we use to to redo our trails. Next.
1 minute.
There's a happy volunteers after they've mulched. Next. More happy volunteers. Next. And more happy volunteers. Next. Okay, one of the things we're going to be doing in 2024, we did a walkthrough with Parks Department, and we developed a list of action items that we hope to accomplish in 2024. They're very amenable to walking out throughout the whole park to help us develop this list, and I won't go over them, but if you're interested, I'd be happy to share that with anyone who's interested. Next. Next slide. There we go. Upcoming events. February 10th, Community Day at OS Gray. We call it a community day because work day sort of sounds like work. February 17th, Great Backyard Bird Count with Charlie Amos. February 24th, we're having our star party at OS Gray. That's where Fort Worth Astronomical Society comes out with giant telescopes, and we have a star party. And then our next community day in March, on March 9th. So next. So if y'all want to do a picture of that, that'll take you to our Facebook page. And thank you for your kind attention.
Y'all are doing great things there.
We're trying.
That looks great.
Yeah, we're trying.
Get out of that.
May I ask how much work there was to do to prep the Rosser Meadows site before the seed stomp?
The Parks Department went out and scalped it for us.
Oh,
And then we had volunteers go and rake up the thatch that was left behind right before the seed stomp. And then we spread the seed, and then we sort of rake the thatch back in spots and, you know, stomp the seeds, and that was it. There's a lot of work, but I mean, it was fairly simple.
how big an area is the Rosser Meadow?
Well,
Yeah, Rosser's Meadow is probably about 2.5 acres, I think, maybe 3.
Wow.
We didn't do all that at one time. We did the north half back in 2020. 2020, I think, in the fall of 2020. And then the south half was done in the fall of 2022.
I know you, did you have a lot of woodies to get rid of?
A lot of woody plants.
The meadow, in Rosser's Meadow, there were some woody plants, weren't there?
Yeah, there were, but it's not a huge problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you got rid of those first.
Well, when the Parks Department scalped it for us, and then we try to monitor it as we go.
Did you ever use Roundup?
No chemicals.
This is Randall Mill Park. This photo is from John Stewart's drone. He has a camera on his drone, and he took this photo this fall. Beautiful. I want to first of all thank each and every volunteer for your time and energy all year long. I see some of the volunteers in the audience tonight, and thank you, thank you, thank you. I also want to thank the Arlington Parks and Rec Department for Volunteer Appreciation Day over at Stovall this past summer. That was very nice to be appreciated that way. So first I'm going to let you know that we volunteer hours that we reported to the Arlington Parks was over 1,500 volunteer hours. We did an Earth Day on April the 22nd. The activities included a bird walk, trail building, a seed ball and distribution. Hester was in charge of that. Planting erosion plants, a litter cleanup, prairie restoration, monitor bluebird nest boxes. Thank you, Jamie. Greenhouse activities. Thank you, Josephine. And privet removal. And then we had an iNaturalist instruction, and to start off the Earth Day, Zach, a master naturalist, did a bird walk through the park. Okay, so here we are doing Earth Day this day on the 22nd. We also did trail building with the Parks Department. Okay, trail building, and we had several trail building events throughout the year. The first one was at the Earth Day, and then several volunteers came out on a hot summer day, and then cross ties were installed by the volunteers under the Parks Department's instruction. And that I have noticed that the cross ties have made a huge difference in this one trail that I really wanted done, and it absolutely works. I have also gotten feedback from visitors who walk the trails, and they just love them. So the next one is erosion. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, good. We planted sedge, native grasses, flowers, trees along the creek and pond. There's a big group right there of down on the bottom of one afternoon of volunteers with their shovels. We obtained a lot of the plants from the John Snowden and the Burleson Prairie. And we planted plants and spread seeds donated by volunteers. We also monitored 13, we now have 13 bluebird houses in the park, which we will continue this year. And we'll place installation around the boxes because we did have some problems with the heat. We lost a few birds because of the heat. And we're going to change some of the boxes to improve the airflow and then make it easier to get a camera down in there so we can not disturb the birds quite as much as we did. The Pond Triangle Garden. It's a regular work day, fourth Thursday of each month. There's Patsy and Mary Lee and Dick are in these pictures here. If you want to be added to my, we need more volunteers. So if you want to be added to my email list, just contact me and I'll add you. Grants were provided by the North Central chapter of Native Plant Society to help purchase some of the plants and seeds, which were also donated and grown by volunteers. We are restoring our Prairie natural area. It's along Oakwood. There's people planting seeds along there. This is a trunk from Dick's car after a rescue at the Burleson. Jamie's out there with Margie spreading seeds. And then there's some of our efforts blooming over there. We have been doing a litter-free park and watershed program. This is an ongoing effort, as everybody knows. There's a big group of volunteers. This man in the upper left in the sunglasses with the red shirt, he has taken on that park and the pond, and it is just amazing what that man does. That's his wife in the middle there with the blue shirt too, Amy.
1 minute.
Oh, thank you. So we're going to work with the Parks Department for our mowing schedule for the height of the grasses. Hopefully the goats are going to be north of 30 in the natural area this year. Work with the city employees to install 2 more educational signs and install fishing line receptacles, which is major. I'm all over that. So our goals also include participating in the River Legacy Park Festival and working with Montana, erosion control, building the trails some more, moving mulch, monitoring the bluebirds, the 2 informational signs, those need to be done. Again, working with the mowing height of the grass and the natural area.
Time's up.
Thank you. and continue what we've been doing. And thank you, everybody, for your attention. Do you have any questions?
What's that picture on the right-hand bottoms of that slide?
That is Randol Mill. Randol Mill was a grain, right? Didn't people bring their grains over there
Right.
to get milled? And that actually is not on the property where the park is. That picture right there, the mill is actually north of 30 on private property.
Yeah.
And that building doesn't exist anymore. All that's left of the building is like a chimney and some old wood laying around. I've never actually gone over there, but John Stewart has been over there. But this picture right there is from an archive from the University of Texas Library. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, I want to talk about these particular areas that are our most descriptive of our main issues. Trails are where the public meets the preserve, and so as a result, there's a lot of issues there. Public use, just wear and tear, as well as road trails and various things. The heat and erosion issues that come with these big downpours that we seem to have more often these days, these years, interspersed between periods of drought. Those are problems that provide wear and tear on the trail and the habitat as well. The Three Bridges project, we've talked about this for several years, since before the pandemic, and we've tried to get it rolling and just have not been able to do it. But we have a collaboration going now. It's 3 bridges to cross steep areas that are right on the trails, and it just gets to be a mucky mess whenever we have these periods when the seeps start to flow again. But we have a collaboration with South Point Contractors, which is the group that's installing the Southeast Connector project along I-20 and 287. Anyway, we're collaborating with them, South Point, Arlington Parks and Rec, and the Friends will be providing funding and support as much as we can. But hopefully get that done early this spring. Trail maintenance, we have 2 really tremendous guys who work on trails. They're out there every week. They're trying to work on the trails to improve drainage across the trails so that they don't erode, and then repairing the erosion as it happens. This is an example, the top left is an example of, that's the connection between the trailhead and the north side of the parking lot. And every time it rains, that decomposed granite washes down, and the trail guys, our volunteers, put it right back. It's getting old. We also, seeing the pet waste area, we also have problems with pet waste and trying to get folks to clean up after their dogs. We also recently had a dog bite incident at the preserve, and that's an ongoing area of concern. And we also have had sporadic instances of people not being appropriate with their waste and leaving toilet paper just off the parking lot in a secluded trail area. And just the weird things that happen, dealing with them, wondering what's going on out there. Somebody built this shelter around the first of the year, and it was concurrent with the sighting of an adult male in camo wearing a backpack, and we just scratch our heads and wonder what's going on. And then also somebody last summer dumped this piano on the parking lot, so you never know what you're going to get. Habitat restoration, again, the record heat, drought, and cold, and interspersed with downpours just makes it hard to establish transplants as well as set seed and keep things, try to have productive efforts, but it makes it hard, along with invasive plants, Cara blue stem, privet, alike. We have one of our members, Jim Freisinger, I think is on here tonight, has contacted Texas A&M Forestry Service and worked up a management plan that we're in the process of implementing now. And of course, the first step of that is managing your invasive plants. And we're still continuing to work with the Prairies Project and the Pollinator Meadow and the bird habitat management area. This is a large chinaberry that was felled this year. And the picture on the lower right is some restoration efforts in the North Prairie, it looks like maybe, where some plants were rescued and the jugs of water there. Jim, again, somehow managed to keep those plants watered throughout the summer, hauling water, and amazing effort. So, and outreach is another area we did in 2023. We did the annual Great Backyard Bird Count and the Winter Tree ID Walk with Suzanne Tuttle. And we did a yucca moth evening in the spring. Bats of DFW that had to be postponed from August till October due to the heat. And we did volunteer events with UTA and South Point constructors. And then there was also an Eagle Scout project that came along kind of by surprise, but we were really glad it was done. The main bridge from the parking lot to the main pond was in sad disrepair, and Parks and this Eagle Scout teamed up and they did it in a week. Thank you. And then we're also really pleased to be working with FAUNA and the collaboration with Parks and Rec. I think that great things to come of that. Here again, some more pictures, Suzanne and the bat event. More volunteers picking seed, and the top right is the pond that almost went dry this last fall. And monitoring, iNatural's numbers were up. We keep increasing sightings of plants and animals there. eBird is stable at 168 species. There are 2 bluebird nest boxes, excuse me. And one of them was moved to the North Prairies, and we're replacing the one on the north side of the parking lot, with a bird feeding station. So our goals for 2024, the 3 Bridges Project, keep reinforcing leave no trace principles with the public, and outreach programs that are coming up soon are the Winter Tree ID Walk with Suzanne Tuttle on the 11th, which is already full, I'm sorry to say. And on the 17th, we're hosting the Great Backyard Bird Count number 17. And we'll continue to work with invasives and restoring natural habitats. Thank you.